Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Bible in a Year plan. It is day 90 of the Bible in a Year. We're doing 2 Samuel chapters 13 through 15. Say, man, what are we even reading it out of? Well, that will be the Bible Project's Bible in a Year plan. Links to that down below in the description. And you say, well, what Bible? It's got book guides, video guides, and article guides to help you understand the content. You say, well, what Bible are we reading out of? We got the King James Life Application Study Bible. It's got so many resources inside of it. I always recommend it. It is my favorite Bible. And if you say, and I don't have a Bible and I want a Bible, let me know. I will get you a Bible. I'm feeling the sickness today, so if I'm not sharp, I'm doing my best. God willing, but I'm hurting, man. I am hurting, and I got a tummy ache. So that don't help neither. That just makes me mad. Let's do a recap of last night. What were we talking about last night? Well, we had the introduction to Bathsheba, and we're kind of seeing the downfall of David. However, we also saw the redemption of David at the cost of his son and the birth of Solomon. That should probably make it real easy. But as we know, we're doing 13, 14. 13, 14, 15. So what are we going to get into? Actually, it's going to get pretty dark pretty fast. So that concludes our recap. So let's hop into a word of prayer, and then we'll do our readings. We'll do reading notes. Floor is open to questions. But we also got a special guest, Michael, coming on the stream, talking about Easter or something like that. I take it if he's able to kind of navigate it today. God bless. I'm low key not in the mood, and I got to do my devotion as well. So, with that, let's get into these. Sorry, what are we talking about? These readings. Let's pray. Father, Lord in heaven, I thank you for this day, this opportunity to broadcast your message. I hope that anybody who needs to hear is able to hear. I pray for strength and wisdom as we read, especially with health for me and my family and everyone else, really. We just want to uplift you, ain't nothing than what you did on Calvary, but we also want to uplift the prayer request that they be according to your will. But just so thank for your mercies that are renewed every day. We pray for a good stream. So let's try to uplift your word as we read. In the name I pray. Amen. All right. Yeah, I'm really not in the mood. Let's get into some scripture, shall we? So unfortunately, we're going to take a dark turn almost immediately. Chapter 13, this is the turmoil in David's family, the rape of Tamar. Let's get into it. Chapter 13, and it came to pass after this, that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for her sister Tamar, and she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Samah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from the day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? Unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean to the... Oh, will not tell me. And Ammon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Joab said unto thee, lay thee down on the bed, and make thyself sick, and when thy father come to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I might see it and eat it at her hand. Verse 6. What the heck is going on here? So Amnon lay down and made himself sick, and when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I might eat out of her hand. may eat her hand, may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Ammon's house and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and she was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have all the meat, have out all the men from me. And they went out of every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring me the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them into him to eat, he took of her and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. Oh, verse 12. And she answered, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Not thou this folly, and whither shall I cause my shame to go? As for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold from me from thee. Howbeit would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than they, forced her and lay with her. Then Ammon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than he love wherewith he had loved her. And Anon said unto her, Arise, be gone. Verse 16. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil is sending me away is greater than the other that it did unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of divers colors upon her, for such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. This then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of divers colors that were on her, and laid her hand on her. And he went on crying. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Ammon thy brother been with thee? Behold thy peace, my sister, he is thy brother, regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother's Abel's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spake unto his brother, and neither good nor bad, but for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. This is now we get into Absalom's revenge on Amnon. Verse 23. And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom, the sheep spearers in Baalhazor, which is beside Ephraim, Absalom invited all the king's sons, and Absalom came to the king and said, Behold, now thy servant hath sheep spears. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said unto Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all go, lest we be chargeable unto thee, and pressed him. Howbeit will he not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him, Let the Ammon, and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now, when Ammon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say unto thee, Smite Ammon, and kill him, fear not. Have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. It says, And the servants of Absalom did unto Ammon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man had got him upon a mule, and fled. Verse 30, we'll finish up here. Oh, kind of went a little too far, maybe. And it came to pass while they were in the way that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath said all the king's sons, and there is not one not one of them left. Then the king arose and tare his garments, and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by him with his clothes rent. And Janab, the son of Shimei, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men and the king's sons, for Ammon is only dead. For the appointment of Absalom, this hath been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore, what Anna Kendrick, get out of here. For Ammon is only dead. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hill, and side behind him. And Janab said unto the king, Behold, the king's son is come, as the servant said. So it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came, and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very sore. And Absalom fled and went to Talami, the son of Amhud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth to Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. A lot of a lot of stuff. What was that? What was this? What? There we go. A whole lot of stuff going on there. Not a great story. I'm hurting today. You're gonna be leading the Bible talk today, bro. This is about verses 1 through 39 of chapter 13. It says, David now faced his sins, his own family, that were consequence of those that he had committed. The sin in his life was magnified in the lives of his children. If you are a parent, you can't always control what your children do, but you can love and obey God and show them how to live their lives in obedience to God's will. Brother. It's about 3 to 5. It says Amon was encouraged by his cousin to commit sexual sin. We may be more vulnerable to advice of our relatives and friends because we are closer to them. It says, however, make sure you evaluate every piece of advice by God's standards, even when it comes from those who are closest to. That's true. Make sure it's according to the Bible. About 13 and 14 says, Love and lust are very different. After Amon raped his half sister, his quote, love turned to hate. Although he had claimed to be in love, he was actually overcome by lust. Love is patient. Lust requires immediate satisfaction. Love is kind. Lust is harsh. Love does not demand its own way. Lust does. You can read about the characteristics of real love in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Lust may feel like love at first, but when physically expressed, it can result in self-disgust and hatred of the other person. If you can't just wait, what you feel is not true love. Oh boy. I hear you, my friend. What was that? This is about verses 6 says, Rape was strictly forbidden by God. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 28 through 29. It says, why would Tamar say that sending her away was even worse? By throwing her out, Amon made it look as if Tamar had made a shameful proposition to him, and there was no witnesses on her behalf because he had dismissed the servants. His crime destroyed her chances of marriage. Since she was no longer a virgin, and I told her she would not be given in marriage. It's also about chapter verse 20. We got 3 more notes here. It says Absalom tried to comfort Tamar and persuade her not to turn the incident into a public scandal. Secretly, he planned to take revenge against Amon himself. This he would do to 2 years later. Absalom told Tamar the crime was only a family matter. But God's standards moral conduct are not suspended when we deal with family matters. That's true. This is about verses 21 through 24. It says David was angry with Amnon for raping Tamar, but David didn't punish him. David probably hesitated because, one, he didn't want to cross Amnon, who was the firstborn son and therefore next in line to be king, and two, David was guilty of a similar sin himself in this adultery with Bathsheba. While David was unsurpassed as a king and military leader, he lacked skill, sensitivity, integrity, and as a husband, as a father. This note's about 22. It says, Hatred often leads to disaster. Absalom had reason to be angry with Amon, but instead of confronting Amnon with his sin, Absalom had allowed his anger to fester into hatred. This produced revenge instead of resolution. When you become angry at a wrong done to you or someone else, avoid the mistake of getting even. Instead, try to confront the person and address the issue. Bible says, don't take revenge. Revenge is his. Make me hot before they come out. Make me kneel. What are you talking about, Michael? The flag. The special rainbow flag? It's about 37 through 39. It says, Absalom fled to Geshur because King Ptolemy was his grandfather, and he would be welcome. That concludes chapter 13 and its notes. Let's get into chapter 14 here. I'm hurting. I'm a hurting, dude. And I got a tummy ache. Like, bro, I'm out of shape. I'm out of shape. Okay, let's get into chapter 14 here. Says Joab arranges for Absalom's return. It says, Now Joab, the son of Ziphrah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent Tekoa and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, find thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with the oil, but as a woman that led a long time mourned for the dead, and come to the king, and speak on this matter unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spake unto the king, she fell on her face into the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, What are you saying with a flag? What is that? Ugh. Oh. Verse 5 And when the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And thy handmaid had two sons, and they strove together in the field, and there was none to part them. But the one smote the other, and slew him. And behold, the whole family is ready against thy handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of the brother whom he slew, and we will destroy their hair also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave unto my husband neither name nor remainder on the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give a charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto her the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me, and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and shall not touch thee any more. And said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of the blood to destroy any more, lest it destroy my son. And he said, Am I recording on YouTube? That's what I thought. Okay. You got family like that? Is that what you're talking about? For Easter tomorrow? And there shall not be one hair of the sun fall to the earth. And the woman said, Let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord thy king. And said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou such thing, a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one in the faulty, in that the king doth not fetch home again and is banished. For we must needs die, and we are water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth yea he devise means that is his banish, that his banish may not be expelled from him. Now therefore, that I may come to speak of this thing unto the Lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And the handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of the handmaid. Oh, is this about the Easter thing? I didn't see that video or whatever, but I want to. We're gonna get into that tonight. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son, together out of the inheritance for God. Then thy handmaid, the word of my Lord, the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my Lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king had answered and said unto the woman, Hide not from me, I pray thee, the king that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, As thou soul liveth, the lord the king, none can turn right hand or to the left from the aunt that my lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he made me, and put all the words in my mouth of the hand of thine handmaid, to fetch about this wisdom the angel of God. No, that's all right. About this form of speech hath my servant Joab done this thing, and the Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. I'm struggling over here. I'm sorry, this is kind of getting a little boring. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, and the king said unto Joab, Behold, now I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, Today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, by my lord, O king, and that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. This is Absalom reconciled to David. I start here in 25. Hold on, I gotta wet my nose. Give me 1 second. Oh, oh, oh. All right, Absalom reconciled to David. Verse 25. But in all Israel there was none to be such praise for Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And then when he pulled his head, for it was not every year that. Oh, I'm on the wrong. For it was not every year, and that he pulled it because the hair was very heavy on him. Therefore he pulled it. Uh, pulled his head, meaning cut his hair. He weighed the hair on his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And he sent again the second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barely there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Verse 31, we finish up here. It says, Then Joab arose then and came to unto his house, and said unto him, Wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? Says Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I have sent unto thee, saying, Come hither, that I may send thee to king, to say, Wherefore am I come for Geshur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let me kill him. So Joab came to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to this king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and king kissed Absalom. What the heck is going on? Let's get into some of these notes here. That was chapter 14. This is about verse 1. It says, Why is there so much attention given to Absalom in 2 Samuel chapters 13 through 19? It says, His revenge against Amnon and his rebellion against David were beginning the final decline of David's kingdom that were been prophesied in chapter 12, verses 10 through 12. Chapters 12, verses 10 through 12. It says, The cycle of lust and murder had begun with David's adultery with Bathsheba by killing his half brother Amnon. Absalom was getting revenge for the rape of his sister Tamar, as well as getting rid of the firstborn son, the next one in line to be king. Corey had his own side, his own sights set on being Israel's king, and he did everything in his power to obtain the goal, killing a half brother and rebelling against his father. Absalom was handsome and popular like his father, but he had lacked his father's heart for God. What can we learn from this terrible story? 1. Even the highest ranking and best equipped people are sinners and rebels of the heart. We must guard our own hearts in sin and rebellion. 2. David failed to teach his children God's ways. Even if our children are raised in the church, we must teach and exemplify character and obedience to God. 3. David was preoccupied with government wives and concubines. He failed to act decisively to correct the evil in his family. At times, his guilt and about his own sin caused him to avoid disciplining his sons caught in similar sins. That proved to be his family's doing. We must make every attempt to break cycles of lust, hatred, and rebellion. To do so, we must stay involved in guiding our children's lives while they are still under our care. That's about 14 through 17. 11 through 17. The law provided a way for. Sorry. The law provided for a way to avenge murder. Numbers chapter 35, verses 9 through 21, records how cities are a refuge to protect the people from revenge and how blood avengers were to pursue murderers. This woman was asking for the king's protection against any claim against her because Joab wanted to convince David to restore Absalom. The special circumstance that David applied to her, suppose the situation could also apply to protecting Absalom. Two more notes, three more notes. This is about 27. It says, by naming his daughter Tamar, Absalom was showing his love and respect to his sister Tamar. This also served as a reminder to everyone of the Amnon and Tamar incident. This is about verse 30. It says, already we can see the seeds of rebellion in Absalom. As an independent and scheming young man, he took matters into his own hands and killed his brother. Without his father or anyone else to keep him in check, he probably did whatever he wanted, uh, as evidenced by setting Joab's field on fire to get his attention. Undoubtedly, Absalom's good looks also added to his self-centeredness and arrogance. Children need discipline, especially those who have natural abilities and physical attractiveness. Otherwise, like Absalom, they will grow up thinking they can do whatever they want to do whatever they want to do. And our last note about 14 says, in verse 33, David made only half-hearted efforts to correct his children. He did not punish Amnon for his sin against Tamar, nor did he deal decisively with Absalom's murder of Amnon. Such an inaction became David's undoing. When we ignore sin, we experience a great pain than if we deal with it immediately. Good stuff. Let's get into the last chapter of the night, chapter 4:15. Sorry. This is David's national rebellion against David. And we first start with Absalom's rebellion. Not too long of a chapter here. Okay, let's get into it, y'all. Oh. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man had controversy and came out to the king of the judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, O what city art thou? And he said, The servant is one of the tribes of Israel. Absalom said unto thee, See thy matters are good and the right. There is no man deputed man depute means deputy of the king to hear thee. Absalom said moreover, O that I made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or case might come unto me, and I would do him justice. And it was so that when any man come nigh unto him to do him obstinance, meaning bow low before him, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did all Abe said, oh my soul, verse 6. And on this manner did Absalom do to all of Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of all the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow, while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he rose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And again with Hebron went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. And Absalom sent for Abiathar the Gileonite, David's counselor from the city, even Gilo, uh, while he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. This is David escapes from Jerusalem, verse 13. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David sent to all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto the king, Behold, the servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his house after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in one place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and sorry, all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Attai the Gittite, wherefore goest with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and man with exile. Whereas thou comest but yesterday, should this day make thee go upon down with us, seeing I whither I may return thou and take back thy brother. Mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered the king and said, As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely is what thy place the Lord king shall be, whether in death or life, even there will also thy servant be. And David said unto Attai, Go and pass over. And Attai and the Gittite passed up over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him, and all the country went with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. And the king also passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over and toward the way of the wilderness. A little bit of portion here left. It says, And lo, Zadok also all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they sent down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And King David said unto Zedek, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both and his habitation. But if thou say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I. Let him do me as seemeth good unto him. And the king said unto Zebek the priest, Art not thou a seer? Return to the city of peace, and your two sons with you, Amaz the son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there came a word for you to certify me. And Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried what is that? Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of the God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went by the ascent of the Mount Avalon, and went as he went up, and had his head covered, and went up barefoot. And all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Abthiel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Abthiel into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come atop of the mount where he was worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with a coat of rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If thou passest unto me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherunto, see will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest thou be for defeat the counsel of Ephiel. Finish up here in 35. And thou hast not there with thee Zadok, and I there the priest. Therefore, that with the thing wheresoever thou shalt hear not unto the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. Behold, uh, they have there with them two of their sons, Abinaz and Zadok's son, and Jonathan Abiathar's son. And by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. That concludes chapter 15. That's our final reading portion of today. Let's finish up with um, our notes here. I'm hurting. This is about chapter 15. It says, David wrote several psalms during the days of Absalom's rebellion, some of them psalms being Psalms 39, 41, 55, 61, and 63. So it's kind of cool. This is about verse 2. It says, A city gate was like a city hall and shopping center combined. Because Jerusalem was the nation's capital, both local and national leaders met there daily to transact businesses and conduct government affairs. The city gate was also the perfect spot for this because government and business transactions needed a witness to be legitimate. Anyone entering or leaving the city had to pass through the gate. Merchants set up their tent shops near the gate for the same reason. Absalom therefore went to the city gate to win the hearts of Israel's leaders as well as become those people as well as those of the common people. It's about 5 through 6. It says Absalom's political strategy was to steal the hearts of the people with his good looks, grand entrances, apparent concern for justice, and his family embraces. Many were fooled and switched their allegiance. Later, however, Absalom proved to be an evil ruler. We need to evaluate our leaders to make sure their charisma is not masked covering greed, deception, or hunger of power. Make sure that underneath their style and charm, uh, they are able to make good decisions and handle people wisely. Who can we think of that? This is about verse 7. It says, most interpreters have many manuscripts agree that this should be read as 4 years. David's entire reign lasted only 40 years, so the correct time period was probably 4 years, not 40 years. It's interesting. This is about verse 9. It says, Absalom went to Hebron because it was his hometown. Hebron was David's first capital as well, and there Absalom would expect to be finding loyal friends who could be proud of him. This is about verse 14, a couple notes left. It says, why couldn't David just crush this rebellion? There were several reasons he chose to flee. One, the rebellion was widespread and would not have been easily dispersed, possibly leading to a civil war. Two, David did not want the city of Jerusalem to be destroyed. And three, David still cared for his son and did not want to hurt him. We know that David expected to return to Jerusalem soon because he left 10 of his concubines to take care of the place, the palace. It is about verse 14 as well. It says, had David not escaped from Jerusalem, then ensuing the fight might have killed not only him, but also many innocent inhabitants of the city. Some fights that we think are necessary can be costly and destructive to those around us. In such cases, it may be wise to back down and save the fight for another day, even if doing so hurts our pride. It takes courage to stand and fight, but it also takes courage to back down for the sake of others. 3 more notes. This one's about 17 through 18. It says, David had many loyal non-Israelites in his armed forces. The Gites, the men from the Philistine city of Gath, were apparently friends of David had acquired while hiding from Saul. God had a purpose in David's time spent there. The Cherethites and Pethites also came from the Philistine territory. Although Israel was supposed to destroy the wicked enemies, the people were welcome foreigners who came on friendly terms and try to show them the importance of obeying God. There's about 24 through 25. It says the priests and Levites were also loyal to David. And our last note about 15 is about 27 and 37. It says David needed spies in Absalom's court to inform of him Absalom's decisions. By serving Absalom as supposed as a traitor to David, Habashi could have offered advice contradictory to Ephiel's advice. Ephiel was Absalom's advisor and also Bathsheba's grandfather. That concludes tonight's readings. I'm really sorry. I'm hurting, but I know that might have not sounded all coherent, and it probably wasn't. I got a lot of brain fog right now, and I'm just trying to keep it going. So, we got Bible talk coming up next. Yeah, this is probably one of the worst days. That's not the right one. There we go. Bible talk coming up next. I encourage y'all to do your own little research about what we just read, because God knows I have no idea what we really read in terms of how the characters are all playing with each other. I don't know how these stories are connecting, in all honesty, so I'll probably do some research, probably on Bible, or what's it called? What are they called? I can't remember. But anywho's, do some research. Hope y'all had an awesome time. If y'all on YouTube, come over to Twitch. We do Bible Talk with Mr. B at 10:30 EST. Anything about the Bible. We got Michael coming in. Tune in to get your very own Trump Bible. No, I'm playing. But that concludes tonight. I hope you had an awesome time. I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30. Again, if you're on Twitch, stay on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, come over to Twitch. We'll start up here in a minute. Michael, you can join that link whenever you want, bud. I'll see you very soon. All right, I'll see y'all back in a minute here. Bye-bye.